Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know, first, why elite experts are training their AI replacements for a $10 billion startup, sparking a technostress crisis and a major US lawsuit. We'll analyze why this new AI data industry is a turning point and how it could affect the future of knowledge work and labor laws. Second, OpenAI's cancelled Oracle deal exposes a hardware depreciation cliff, threatening Oracle's $100 billion debt-fueled AI gamble. So we'll discuss why this hardware race matters and what it means for the power dynamics between AI labs and cloud infrastructure giants. Third, Meta's former AI chief raises over $1 billion to build a rival AI, claiming the current large language model approach is a dead end. In this episode, we'll break down this fundamental challenge to current AI and what it signals for the future of artificial general intelligence. Fourth, a $1.75 trillion SpaceX IPO could force Nasdaq to rewrite its rules by demanding immediate inclusion in the prestigious Nasdaq 100 index. We'll explore how this unprecedented demand could transform stock exchange rules and impact national security oversight for critical tech assets. Fifth, Apple's new M5 Max chip reveals a deliberate upgrade strategy with a 55% performance leap over older models, forcing a 2 to 3 year cycle. Today, we'll take a closer look at this engineered performance gap and its implications for professional users and Apple's product roadmap. What if your next job was to train the AI that just made your career obsolete? For a growing number of journalists, lawyers, and even Emmy-winning filmmakers, this is not a hypothetical. As one screenwriter put it, I'm being handed a shovel and told to dig my own grave. Research is starting to show the real psychological toll of this. Experts call it technostress, a profound sense of distress from having your life's work and identity challenged by a machine you are forced to teach. It's not just burnout, it's a feeling of existential obsolescence, leading to emotional withdrawal and a deep sense of loss. This is the new precarious world of the AI data industry. Companies like Mercor, founded by young entrepreneurs and valued at $10 billion, are recruiting tens of thousands of pedigreed experts. And that $10 billion valuation isn't just hype. Actually, Mercor's business model focuses on providing companies with specialized domain experts to perform AI model training. They differentiate themselves from rivals by specifically recruiting these top-tier domain experts and then charging AI labs a premium for the quality of their work. They're essentially selling trust and expertise, and investors are betting big that this is the key to building smarter AI. They're hiring Supreme Court litigators, management consultants, and scientists to perform their old jobs for a new audience. A machine, they create checklists for a job well done, role players, corporate teams in simulated worlds, and write golden examples of perfect work, all to teach an algorithm. This role-playing in simulated worlds is so valuable because it generates what's called synthetic data. Instead of using messy real-world data that might have privacy issues, they create a clean, controlled, and scalable data set from scratch. Think of it like building a perfect digital practice field for the AI, where it can learn the rules of the corporate world in a safe and endlessly repeatable environment. But the reality for these workers is a brutal cycle. Projects are abruptly cancelled, only to reappear paying 24% less. Work is tracked to the second by surveillance software called Insightful, which can deduct pay for any time deemed unproductive. When new tasks are released, it's a feeding frenzy. One worker described it as living in a fishbowl, waiting for food to be dropped in, where only the fastest get to eat. This creates a constant state of precarity. Demands increase, deadlines shrink, and pay decreases. Those who can't keep up are off-boarded without warning. This isn't just about automation. It's the gig economy to the very extreme, now applied to knowledge work. And the global anonymous nature of this work makes it incredibly difficult for workers to fight back. However, the tide may be turning. In the US, for example, a class action lawsuit was filed in California alleging that Mercor misclassifies these experts as independent contractors to avoid paying benefits and providing basic labor protections. This is a crucial legal battleground that mirrors the fights we've seen with companies like Uber, but now it's for the highest skilled jobs on the planet. The system pits experts against one another in a global race to the bottom, forcing them to sell their own expertise piece by piece. Now, get this. This process creates a huge risk for the AI companies themselves. It's a phenomenon researchers call model collapse. If an AI is trained on data created by another AI, which can happen if these human experts start using AI tools to speed up their work, the models begin to degrade. They forget the nuances of the real world and start producing distorted, repetitive outputs. It's like making a photocopy of a photocopy until the image becomes an unrecognizable blur. So these companies are in a constant cat and mouse game, trying to ensure the human data they're paying for is genuinely human. It's a process that continues only as long as it takes for the machine to successfully mimic them, commoditizing human knowledge until there are no more skills left to sell. We just heard about the human cost of training AI, but that's not the only high-stakes gamble being made. A bombshell just dropped in the world of AI hardware, where OpenAI and Oracle have decided to cancel the expansion of their flagship AI data center in Abilene, Texas. This reversal reveals what happens when the music stops on the AI gold rush. This is what experts are calling the AI hardware depreciation cliff. You see, companies financially depreciate hardware over 3 to 5 years. But with AI, a top-tier GPU can be performance obsolete in just 1 or 2 years. Research shows that a cutting-edge NVIDIA chip can lose up to a third of its value in just 24 months. It's a huge financial black hole. Here's the core conflict. OpenAI wants the absolute newest, fastest chips from NVIDIA. The problem? It takes at least 12 to 24 months to build a data center. But NVIDIA is now releasing a new, more powerful generation of chips every single year. The current Oracle site was planned for NVIDIA's Blackwell processors. By the time it's online, OpenAI wants access to the next generation Vera Rubin, which is already in production and delivers 5 times the performance. OpenAI has also been lining up Broadcom custom silicon as negotiating optionality while it chases NVIDIA's next leap. This puts Oracle in a brutal position. The company has spent billions on construction and hardware, funding its entire AI expansion primarily with debt to the tune of $100 billion and counting. This is a massive gamble that its rivals like Google, Amazon, and Microsoft aren't taking as they lean on their enormous cash reserves instead. Oracle's debt-heavy approach just concentrates that risk, and the scale of Oracle's gamble is truly staggering. When we place its debt-to-equity ratio, which is around 500%, alongside Amazon's at 50% or Microsoft's at 30%, the contradiction becomes clear. Oracle is leveraging itself to the absolute maximum to catch up, making them incredibly vulnerable if a major customer like OpenAI suddenly pivots. And the market is noticing Oracle's stock has lost over half its value since its peak in September 2025. To make matters worse, another key partner, Blue Owl, is reportedly declining to fund an additional facility. While Oracle posted on X that news reports were false and incorrect, the statement only confirmed existing projects were on track and didn't address the cancelled expansion plans. That's a tough setup with an earnings report looming. This isn't just about Oracle, it's a problem for the entire industry, and it signals a massive power shift. Premier AI labs like OpenAI are now so powerful that they can dictate the exact hardware they want and when they want it. They are pursuing a multi-cloud strategy with massive deals, not just with Oracle, but also with Microsoft, Amazon, and Google. This forces the cloud giants to compete against each other, essentially becoming commoditized vendors of power and space for a few key AI clients who hold all the leverage. That kind of hedging is exactly how buyers keep their options open and their leverage high. The speed of AI innovation is now outpacing the speed of construction. The brutal reality is that every massive infrastructure deal signed today may result in a commitment to outdated hardware before the power is even connected. And securing the necessary power, we're talking gigawatt scale campuses, can take years, especially with growing political pressure over who pays for that electricity. But this creates a fascinating new question. What happens to all that outdated but still incredibly powerful hardware? A new secondary market is emerging. These 1-year-old GPU clusters are being bought up by tier 2 cloud providers and startups who can't afford the absolute latest tech. This is democratizing access to powerful AI, but it also shows just how insane the churn at the top of the market has become. Speaking of power dynamics in the AI world, a new challenge is emerging that isn't about hardware, but about the very philosophy of how to build intelligence. The former chief AI scientist at Meta just raised over $1 billion for a new company, Advanced Machine Intelligence, or AMI, built on one explosive idea that Meta's entire approach to AI is wrong. And he's not starting small. The company just secured a staggering $1.03 billion in funding, at a pre-money valuation of $3.5 billion. Backers include heavy hitters like Bezos Expeditions. This isn't just a business move, it represents a growing philosophical split among the very people who created modern AI. Investors like Bezos Expeditions are making such a massive bet because they are essentially hedging against the idea that the current AI trend, dominated by large language models, might have a ceiling. They're backing a contrarian vision because they anticipate that the next great leap in AI won't come from making existing models bigger, but from building something fundamentally different. This isn't just another startup. It's a direct challenge to the entire AI industry. LeCun went on the record stating that today's AI, the kind, based on predicting the next word, will not produce truly intelligent agents. This is a direct shot at the technology powering almost every major AI system on the planet, including those at his former company. To understand the rift, you have to look under the hood. The AIs we use today, like ChatGPT or Meta's Llama, are mostly what you call autoregressive models. They are incredibly good at looking at a sequence of words and statistically guessing the most likely next word. But LeCun argues this is just sophisticated pattern matching, not true understanding. It's why these systems can sometimes hallucinate or fail at basic reasoning. Instead, LeCun's AMI is building an AI capable of reasoning, planning, and understanding the world like a human based on what are called world models. The goal is to teach an AI to build its own internal representation of how the world works. It's about building an AI with a foundational understanding, not just a massive vocabulary. His stated goal is for AMI to become the main provider of intelligent systems, regardless of what the application is. He's targeting automakers, aerospace, and pharmaceutical companies first. And this choice of first customers is a brilliant strategic move. Instead of jumping into the crowded consumer chatbot space, AMI is going where its unique strengths, reasoning, and planning offer the clearest return on investment. In manufacturing, an AI that can truly plan could cut downtime by 30 to 50%. In drug discovery, it could dramatically accelerate development. But the long-term vision is even more ambitious, including consumer tech, like what LeCun calls a domestic robot with actual common sense. However, if you zoom out, you'll see a monumental hardware challenge at play. Putting an AI that has to understand the real world in real time onto a small, power-constrained device like a robot or a pair of glasses is incredibly difficult. It requires new, hyper-efficient chips and models that can think on their feet without a constant connection to the cloud. And here's the ultimate twist. In a move that could reshape the industry, LeCun revealed he's already in talks with his old employer, Meta, about putting his new rival technology inside their Ray-Ban smart glasses. The man who helped build Meta's AI empire has now raised $1 billion war chest to pursue a radically different path. He is now positioned to either partner with or completely disrupt the very giants he helped create, fundamentally changing the race for true artificial intelligence. From one massive valuation challenging the AI industry to another poised to rewrite the rules of the stock market itself, Elon Musk's SpaceX is preparing for what could be the biggest debut of all time, with a jaw-dropping valuation of $1.75 trillion. But the real story isn't just the price tag. It's the unprecedented demand SpaceX is making before it agrees to go public. So how do you even get to a number like 1.75 trillion? The situation presents a fascinating duality. Investors are essentially valuing two different companies in one. First, you have the Starlink internet service, a predictable revenue-generating utility with millions of subscribers. But then you have the moonshot, the world-changing Starship program. The IPO will be a massive test of the public's appetite for funding that kind of high-risk, long-term R&D. According to sources, SpaceX is making its listing on the Nasdaq conditional. The condition? Early inclusion into the prestigious Nasdaq 100 index. Believe it or not, this isn't just about bragging rights. SpaceX is fundamentally an aerospace and manufacturing company, but it wants to be valued like a tech giant. Listing on the tech-heavy Nasdaq 100 alongside Apple and Nvidia sends a powerful signal to investors. We are a high-growth, innovation-driven company, not a slow and steady industrial firm like Boeing on the New York Stock Exchange. It's a move designed to maximize that trillion-dollar valuation from day one. Normally, a newly listed company has to prove itself for up to a year before it's even eligible for entry into a major index. But SpaceX wants in almost immediately. This has sparked a high-stakes competition, with the New York Stock Exchange also vying for the historic listing. This is where the situation takes a more complex turn. To entice mega-cap companies like SpaceX, Nasdaq has proposed a brand new fast entry rule. This change, which is not yet final, is designed to speed up the process, potentially adding a massive new company to the index in just under a month. Interestingly enough, this fast entry rule, according to Nasdaq's own proposal, would allow a huge new company to be added to the index after just 15 trading days. The only requirement, its market value has to be in the top 40 of the companies already in the index. It completely bypasses the usual seasoning and liquidity rules, reflecting a major effort by Nasdaq to make sure it doesn't miss out. A valuation of $1.75 trillion would make SpaceX the sixth largest company by market value in the United States, placing it in the same league as giants like Apple and Amazon. Joining the Nasdaq 100 index so quickly would give the company immediate access to a flood of investment from institutional index funds, boosting liquidity from day one. But this is where the story gets even more complex. After all, SpaceX isn't just another tech company. It's a critical piece of US national security and civil space infrastructure. When a strategic asset like this becomes a publicly traded company, it raises huge questions about who can own a piece of it. We're talking about potential scrutiny from the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or CFIUS, to prevent foreign entities from gaining too much influence. This isn't just about money, it's about protecting a national champion. This isn't just another IPO. It's a power play where a private company's immense valuation is potentially forcing one of the world's largest stock exchanges to rewrite its own rulebook to win the deal. We were just talking about a power play shaking up the stock market. Now, let's shift to a more subtle but equally powerful strategy from Apple with its new M5 Max chip. The company just dropped the chip, and one number is an absolute bombshell. The storage drive in the new MacBook Pro is clocking in with write speeds that are an incredible 123% faster than last year's model. We're talking sustained write speeds of nearly 18 gigabytes per second. What really brought this massive speed jump to life was a complete re-engineering of Apple's storage architecture. The key here is that they doubled the bandwidth available to the SSD by using 8 PCIe lanes. Combine that with a redesigned SSD controller, and you get speeds that are blowing past even Apple's own claims, making tasks like editing multiple streams of 8K RAW video feel instantaneous. But the real story is a fundamental change in how Apple builds its chips. For the M5 generation, Apple has introduced a brand new third type of processor core called the supercore, completely redesigning its top-tier chips and removing the efficiency cores we've seen before. This decision brings both incredible power and comes with inherent risks, as it goes against the entire industry trend. Instead of the usual mix of performance and efficiency cores, the M5 Max now has 6 supercores for intense single-threaded tasks and 12 new performance cores for multi-threaded work. Apple is betting everything on maximum power for professional apps, claiming they've done it without sacrificing battery life thanks to a new, more efficient chip architecture. So, does this radical new design deliver a massive leap in power? If you bought a MacBook Pro last year, the answer is a simple no. The year-over-year multi-core performance gain from the M4 Max to the M5 Max is a modest 10 to 14%, but that's not the whole picture. The real turning point is who this upgrade is actually for. This upgrade was never meant for recent buyers. The real target is anyone with a 3-year-old machine. Compared to the M2 Max from 2023, the new M5 Max delivers a staggering 55% jump in single-core performance, and in multi-core workloads, the performance has nearly doubled. And it's not an accident, it is a deliberate strategy. What you're seeing is Apple engineering a 2 to 3 year upgrade cycle. They create these massive performance cliffs to make upgrading feel not just tempting, but absolutely necessary for professionals whose income depends on speed. It's a pattern we see across the tech world, from NVIDIA's GPUs to Apple's own iPhones, where the real game-changing leaps are spaced out to ensure a steady stream of customers. The gains are just as dramatic for creative professionals. Graphics performance sees a 64% improvement in metal rendering over the M2 Max. For video editors, a 4K Premiere Pro export is now 30% faster, cutting nearly 30 seconds off a task that took over a minute and a half on the older machine. The takeaway is clear. While those with last year's model can rest easy, the M5 Max creates a massive performance gap for anyone using a laptop from 3 years ago. For those users, this is not an incremental update. It is a night and day difference in power and speed.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.